Did he willingly get in the suitcase?
He was already in there.
Tell us what happened.
I mean, I zipped him up. We thought it was funny. And we're joking about how he was, I guess, small enough to fit inside a suitcase.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone. I'm Michael Ayala. Boone is charged with second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, George Torres. His body was found zipped inside a suitcase back in February of 2020. Now, Boone recorded video of him inside telling her that he couldn't breathe. Now, in that video, she also referenced being choked by him and wanting him to feel the same things that she felt when he was choking her. Now, Boone claims Torres constantly abused her, and she is using the battered spouse syndrome defense. She's still on the stand. She's laying out her side of the story of what happened. However, now she's on cross-examination. I think it's been going fairly well for her. Let's get you back inside that courtroom.
I don't recall at this point. I don't remember.
Okay. All right, and so it ends in hide and seek after arts and puzzles, correct?
Yeah.
He says, tag, you're it, but you run and go upstairs and hide, right?
Yes.
So does that mean he's it and he's supposed to come find you?
No.
Okay.
Just
So you both hide?
no.
Okay. How does this work?
I don't know how to tell you.
Okay.
I was it, and I went and hid.
I mean, my understanding of the rules of hide and seek is one person will be it, cover his or her eyes and count to like 20 and then go find the person that's hiding. Is that your familiarity with the rules too, or do you guys have house rules?
I understand how the
Okay.
game of hide and seek
So
works.
explain to me, what was your expectation? You go up to the shower, were you expecting him to come find you?
I was.
Okay. And after a while, he did not come find you.
Yes.
And that's when you returned downstairs.
Correct.
And because of the way your townhouse is set up, you can kind of see over where the suitcase is and that he's trying to hide in there, but it's not successfully hidden just yet.
I mean, yes, you have to come down a good ways in order to be able to
Right.
do that.
Right. But you saw, you testified that was before you got to the bottom.
Yes.
All right. And then you come over there and thinking that it's funny, you zip him shut, correct?
Yes, we both thought it was funny.
Okay. May the defendant stand down?
Entered into the well?
Yes.
Yes.
Go down.
Deputy, could we release her into the well, please?
All right. Ms. Boone, can you demonstrate for the jury where Mr. Torres' head was and how his body was positioned in the suitcase, if you don't mind?
His back was this way and his head was here.
All right, and then is it fair to say his feet are kind of down here, which would be the front left corner from their perspective in the jury box?
Yes.
And then his knees are kind of tucked up towards his face.
If I remember correctly, yes, that's the position.
Okay. All right. Can you help me understand how it was that you zipped it shut? Can you show us where you say you left an opening that his hand got out of?
Would it be easier to put it on here?
I didn't want to make you go down there. If you're happy doing that, I'll let you.
Hold up. Does she need to be wearing gloves?
Yes.
Agreed. If she's going to be manipulating it.
What do you want her to do?
Just demonstrate how she zipped it shut.
Okay, well, where's the paper clip? And do you remember which one it was in?
This side.
Judge, the paperclip was on when this event occurred. When we pulled the suitcase out earlier, the paperclip was not attached. So now the prosecutor has attached the paperclip. We don't know if that's the way it was attached.
It's not even a paperclip.
We
Okay.
don't know if that's the proper way that it was attached. But he's asking her now to pull.
Is there an objection?
Yes?
Approach.
All right, I think it's a really good choice by the state to have her demonstrate, but of course the defense has an issue because the bag is not the way it was originally when this went down. Let's bring in our guest here to discuss for this hour is trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me here on the program. As I said, I think this is a really great idea by the state to have her demonstrate this. I wonder if they're going to pull out the bat and say, show us how you hit his fingers. I think they should do that as well. But what do you make of what's going on here so far?
It's a very powerful image. A reenactment is very powerful for the jury to sit there and witness firsthand what they believe has happened. But it could potentially turn. Now, we also have to remember in the O.J. Simpson case where he tried on the glove that he allegedly used and it showed that it didn't fit and he was acquitted. If the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit. So it'll be interesting to see if, in fact, she does a reenactment and how that's going to affect the case. If they're going to see the reenactment and say, oh, 100%, she should have done more. It's her fault. She's guilty.
All right, so it looks like they've come to some sort of agreement. Let's get back inside that courtroom.
Objections overruled. All right, if you feel most comfortable, sir.
Madam Court, are you ready? Can we see how it was that the two zipper parts were positioned when you say that Mr. Torres was able to get his hand out? If you want me to do it, I'm fine. I'll take your direction.
From what I remember, this is how the suitcase works. This was up here. This was not this hard either. So this was like here,
Okay.
right here.
About right there, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay. I assume this one was much closer? It's not over there? Where'd you leave?
You asked me where I zipped it.
When you say that it was zipped shut, show us.
talking about how I zipped it, or?
When you're done zipping
With
it
the hole.
shut and he's inside of it, where are the zipper components?
Just tell me where it's at.
I mean, it was the corner. I mean, the corner was
right
cut
here?
open. I mean,
Here?
it's not. Yes,
Yes?
this one was already pre-attached, yes. From what I can remember. That's how he was cutting with his hand out. It was like this from the corner part.
Okay. Thank you. You can return to your seat. Did you ever change the position of those zippers once you put it in that position?
I did not.
And so once he was zipped into there, there's some amount of time, but you don't remember specifically before you start taking the 2-minute video, correct?
Yes.
And then that's when you say what you say, and that's when he says what he says. We've all heard it, correct?
Yes.
And then between there, in that second video of the 22 seconds length, it's at this point where he's beginning to get angry. And then that's when you take the baseball bat that's in evidence, and your testimony is you start poking him with the end of it.
Did you say this was the second video?
Between the two videos, that's when you started hitting with the bat because he was getting angry and trying to escape, correct?
Right, I was not hitting him. I was, yes.
Okay. Did you ever hit him with the bat while he was outside of the suitcase?
No.
So each time that he is hit with the bat, it's through this suitcase. And that's what leaves the marks on him because you didn't hit him with the bat outside the suitcase, correct?
Yes, if you'd like me to demonstrate.
No, that's okay. The suitcase will speak for itself. And then you take the second video and you go upstairs and go to bed, correct?
I apparently went upstairs and I used the phone to make a phone call,
Okay.
and then I fell asleep.
All right. And at the point in time when you left and went upstairs, he was still inside the suitcase, correct?
Correct.
Was he still asking for you and calling your name?
Not that I can recall.
Did you say shh to him again?
I don't remember.
Did you tell him that this was his problem and it's on you again?
I don't remember.
Did you do anything to help him escape from the predicament that you zipped him up in?
No.
No other questions?
Any redirect examination?
Miss Boone, he just asked you the question that you poked him and you didn't poke it. You poked, every time you poked him hard with the bat, he was inside the briefcase,
The suitcase, yes.
the suitcase. But you remember when he put his hand out, did you not hit him in the hand outside the suitcase?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the only time the bat touched Mr. Torres's body outside the suitcase.
Yes.
Was when you hit him with a hand. But all the other injuries were with you poking him pretty hard. I mean, you bruised your hand, correct? Doing that. Thank you.
That's all right.
Ma'am, you can return to counsel's table.
Judge, can we approach you?
Just a moment. Let me get her situated at table, and then we can approach.
All right. Right. I thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity not to have her demonstrate how she was hitting his hand with that bat. I thought that would have made a powerful visual for this jury as well, especially when you have that thought in your mind that this is a person inside of that particular suitcase. Anyway, they're all done with the testimony from Sarah Boone. It took her all day, but she got it done. When we come back, the judge addresses some issues with the attorneys outside the presence of the jury. So keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight in closing arguments, Sarah Boone takes the stand in her own defense. We'll show you everything you may have missed from her testimony as our experts weigh in.
Closing arguments with Vinny Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
What happened that night? Are you not prepared to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer, a Court TV original series. Sunday, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Teeth sensitivity is so common. It immediately feels like somebody's poking directly on the nerve. I recommend Sensodyne. Sensodyne toothpaste goes inside the tooth and calms the nerve down. And my patients say, doc, it really works.
Hey guys, how we doing? You ready? Hey, Adams Elementary. Go Rams. I think he needs one too. What do you think? All right. You guys ready to fight some crime?
This is not just flu protection.
Okay, well, you go get him, all right? Bye.
This is a neighbor looking out for you. Schedule flu and COVID-19 vaccines for you and your family today. Walgreens.
I've lost 96 pounds with Weight Watchers Clinic. Knowing that I'm never doing it alone has been key. I have a clinician I can bounce questions off of, health coordinator, dietitian, all in one central place. It doesn't get any better.
Honey, you were so right. I listed this in less than a minute.
I told you listing on Poshmark was quick and easy.
Oh, I sold my black tote and my slip dress. Let's go get mani-pedis.
Ooh, thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Poshmark.
Every new listing by November 3rd is a weekly chance to win luxury goods. Terms apply.
Look at this city little sailboat. These men of means with their silver spoons eating up the financial favors of the 1%. What would become of them when they discover Robinhood Gold allows others to earn their very liberal rates on idle cash, unlimited deposit bonuses, and handsome retirement matching? They would descend into chaos. Merciless chaos.
The only thing I don't like about payday is waiting for it. Chime lets you get up to $500 of your pay whenever you need it. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. I'm not waiting for payday anymore, and you shouldn't either. Join me at chime.com and get paid when you say.
Who's coming in the driveway?
Goodness.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. I hope that she lives a long, great, happy life and that she will never forget how Mom and Daddy love her. St. Jude, this is what's keeping my baby girl alive.
You can join the battle to save lives by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment these kids need now and in the future.
Cancer makes me feel angry, not in the, feel on the outside, just the inside I'm angry at.
When your kid is hurting and there's nothing you can do about it, that's the worst feeling in the world.
1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive.
Those that donate to St. Jude, I hope that you will continue to give. They have done so much for me and my family.
Join with your credit or debit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt. Or for a limited time only, join for $39 a month to receive this exclusive St. Jude jacket you can proudly wear to show your support.
You ready to go have some fun?
When we came here, we didn't know what tomorrow would hold. St. Jude showed us that tomorrow there's hope for our little girl to survive.
Let's cure childhood cancer together. Please donate now.
Was his hand still out of the suitcase?
Yes.
And was he getting out of the suitcase?
He very much was trying, yes.
And so what did you do?
For the split-second reaction that I had, I happened to see that, and I grabbed the baseball bat and was trying to poke his hand to go back in to please don't break through, please. So I hit his hand.
Wait, did you hit the outside part of his hand?
Yes.
We've seen the photographs of his left hand. Did you cause the bruising there?
I'm guessing yes.
All right, testimony has ended for the day in the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone. She spent most of the day on the stand. Well, now the judge is discussing some issues with the attorneys outside the presence of the juries. So let's get back into court.
With regard to these medical records, the court previously today had required by 5 p.m. to address those. Unfortunately, they have not yet been addressed. It is imperative that the state knows what it is we're culling down or redacting. And I understand that you may want to be seeking those into evidence maybe tomorrow, and the state needs to be advised as to what it is that you're seeking to utilize. So where are we in figuring that out?
Can I have 1 minute with the client?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're discussing the medical records. This has come up a couple of times during this trial. The medical records of the defendant are at issue, and what the judge decided, he looked at some of the records and said some of the stuff in there cannot be brought in to the trial. So the defense had to go through those, figure out what they wanted to redact, then give them over to the state. Apparently, that hasn't happened, and now he's having a discussion with Sarah about it. All right, looks like they're ready to go.
And she claims that every time that he went to the hospital and the medical records would show that it was in relation to some type of domestic violence involving her, we've expressed to her that we do not wish to pursue it and introduce those records of George Torres, of his medical records of the different times he went as it relates to their difficulties. Do you understand that?
Okay. Ma'am, earlier we had discussed, anything else to add to that, Mr. Owens?
Just that I've explained to her that the lawyers make those decisions.
Okay.
And I believe she's in agreement now. I just wanted to get it on the record.
Understood. All right, so ma'am, I just got a couple follow-up questions, similar to other conversations we've had over the last couple of days. I don't want to know about the specifics of any conversations you've had with you and your attorneys, just whether or not you've had them. You recall earlier today I'd asked you questions about certain rights that you had the ability to decide. Do you recall that conversation that we had, ma'am? It was before you testified.
Yes.
Okay, do you recall that I advised you that the lawyers get to make most of the strategy determinations at trial? Do you recall that?
I do.
And do you recall that you said you understood that?
Yes.
And do you also recall that I advised you of certain rights that you have? Do you recall that?
I do.
And one of those rights was the right to testify or remain silent. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And did you understand that?
Yes.
So this decision is a trial decision as to whether or not there's certain evidence that your lawyers are going to seek to utilize in your defense. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that they're exercising that trial strategy at this time not to pursue those medical records?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
I don't.
Are you on board with that strategy?
I am.
Are you still on board with the strategy utilized in your defense?
All of it, yes.
Are you satisfied with your lawyer's representation of you in this matter?
Yes.
All right, thank you. State, anything else we need to address before we retire for the evening?
Sorry.
That's okay.
My understanding is the last civilian witness they intend on calling is arriving at MCO at 9:03 in the morning tomorrow.
It was either 9:03 or 9:05, yes.
And plan will be to depose her in the evening at 5:30.
Okay.
Then, just scheduling purposes, we're trying to figure out when we would need our rebuttal expert, Dr. Werner, to appear.
I know Mr. Owens had said they were endeavoring to finish by Friday, but I don't know if Dr. Harper's availability issues for tomorrow is going to change that anticipated time frame.
I'll try to reach out to her by text. That's usually how we communicate. But
well, assuming she testifies on Thursday, are you still in a position to rest on Friday, or would that kick us to the next week, sir?
well, no, I want to finish this week if at all possible. If I'm hoping that Dr. Harper could be here tomorrow when Dr. Brandon is here, but let's just say she's tied up in bed.
Let's do worst case scenario.
Okay. She's here Thursday morning. I think we would try to finish our case right then and give the state a chance to rebut. I would say Thursday. I would have.
Ken, my understanding is our expert can't be here in the afternoon on Thursday. I'm going to have to check her availability for Friday.
If you would be so kind, and we can address that tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, State? Anything else from the defense?
No.
All right, the court will be in recess till, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, just to give everybody some scheduling, this might help everyone with schedule. There are going to be 2 officers here in the morning who are going to be ready to testify. There will also be some other witnesses, officers, like the detective who testified, that I need to call back because of some impeachment issues of one of the witnesses. And then we'll get into everybody else's witnesses. So there's about 3 or 4 that I have in the morning time that we'll be proceeding on. Then we'll go from there.
Okay, all right, appreciate the lay of the land. All right, we will see you all. Yes, one more, Mr. Owens. Yes, sir.
This flying in from New Jersey, I think, is Wednesday at 9 a.m. I think the flight, she's scheduled to fly out Thursday at 9 a.m. So if there's any way we could depose her, maybe in the morning or at lunch, and then have her testify Wednesday afternoon.
That's an unreasonable demand on my time, given everything I've been doing to make sure that we can get this pushed through. I need to do things like get ready for expert cross-examinations, and other things need to get accomplished at lunchtime. Happy to do it in the evening. My understanding that she was supposed to be coming in today so that we could do it tonight, and that didn't happen. But I don't think I should be forced to accommodate a lunchtime deposition.
Anything further?
I'm just telling you what our plans were.
Deposition will be at 5:30 tomorrow, or at any other. If we got to have it later, depending on how we go, we'll address it at that time. All right, thank you both very much. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Court's in recess.
All right, dealing there at the end with scheduling issues. Those are always important going forward. I do want to correct one thing. Earlier when I was speaking, I thought the medical records involved Sarah Boone. Actually, they involved the victim in this case, George Torres, some of the injuries that he suffered when he went to the hospital in incidents between the two of them. The defense ultimately deciding that they didn't want to bring those in. Let me bring in my guest, still with us, trial attorney Kelly Hyman. And Kelly, the choice not to bring those in, I think, was a good one. At the end of the day, this medical records they were talking about were of injuries to George Torres, which would have been during incidents between the two of them. Not sure how that moves the case forward. So I think that's fair, but here's what I want to address with you. The relationship between Sarah Boone and her attorney. We know this is her 8th attorney or 9th attorney, and they always had issues with her attorneys, but he seems to have a very nice rapport. And as we know, he was just watching this case, actually, I believe on Court TV, and decided she needed help, came in. They seem to have a good rapport.
They definitely appear to have a really good rapport. What I thought was really interesting, Michael, was the fact that the judge asked her about being satisfied with her counsel. Because usually on these types of cases, if she is found guilty, don't know yet if that's going to happen or not, but one of the things that is asserted on appeal is ineffective counsel, that your counsel wasn't good. I wasn't happy with my counsel. The counsel should have done certain things as well. But the judge basically nixed that right now, and she said, yes, I'm very happy with my counsel. And as you stated, it appears that they have a very good working relationship.
Yeah, and I think on some level, he's deferring to her. And there are opportunities where he's saying, look, defense attorneys make these types of decisions. She seems to be agreeing with him. so there must be a level of trust there. We see her there smiling earlier in the day. Today, I don't know who she's smiling at. I think some of her family is in the gallery. I want to talk about her testimony today. I would call it, Kelly, it was measured, it was thoughtful, it was poised, but maybe a little bit too much so. I want to get your impressions because the jury's watching this, and I thought she was, so measured and so poised, and she was so considered with her answers that it might backfire on her.
She came across as someone who was very soft-spoken. That's the first thing that stood out to me, a very soft-spoken person. But as you said, Michael, very measured, very one-tone, very calm, cool, and collective. And as you stated earlier, I would have really liked to see the reenactment in regards to the bat. I think that would have been really powerful to see what exactly happened and that potentially could have swayed the juries one way or the other. But all in all, she did a very good job presenting herself to the jury.
Yeah, she held herself up pretty well. And as I said to Judge Ashley earlier, presented herself as someone that I wasn't expecting. I mean, of all we got to know of her over the last 4.5 years or so, I wasn't expecting this woman. And also to hear her bunkmate say that she was well-liked in jail, all those things surprising me. All right, Kelly, stand by. We do need to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll have more highlights from Sarah Boone's testimony in the suitcase murder trial when we return. Keep it here on Court TV.
Patients who have sensitive teeth but also want whiter teeth, they have to make a choice, one versus the other. New Sensodyne Clinical White that provides 2 shades whiter teeth as well as providing 24/7 sensitivity protection. Patients are going to love to see Sensodyne on the shelf.
You okay? Yeah, I'm just tired. They changed my Medicare Advantage plan, so I've been trying to find a new one, and it's so much work.
Don't do it yourself. Call GoHealth.
GoHealth?
Yeah, GoHealth. They take your information, they do the research, they compare plans, then they recommend the plan that best meets your needs.
Really?
GoHealth found me a plan with prescription drug coverage, vision care, dental care, preventative care services, plus extra benefits that cost me less than my old plan.
That sounds perfect.
And the service is free.
Here's how we've helped over 10 million Americans shop for the Medicare plan that's right for them. First, we listen to learn what your needs and priorities are. Then, using our proprietary Plan Fit technology, we compare your needs to the features and benefits of some of the top Medicare carriers in America, like Cigna Healthcare, Humana, United Healthcare, and WellCare, to find the best plan for you and your budget. Whether you're looking for a plan with prescription drug coverage, vision care, dental care, hearing care, and more, GoHealth will find the plan that's right for you at a price you can afford.
I'm calling.
If you're trying to get the most bang for your buck, looking for a new plan, or new to Medicare, GoHealth can help. The call is free. Our service is free. There's no risk and no obligation. Get the right Medicare Advantage plan for you at a price you can afford.
Call 800-810-8038 or go to GoHealth.com now. That's 800-810-8038 or go to GoHealth.com now. Don't do it yourself. Call GoHealth.
This is the story of the one who doesn't just see a broken dock. He sees lost revenue, a late night, and work stalled to a halt. Thankfully, he has the experience to handle whatever comes his way and has Grainger on his side, offering access to technical product specialists and the scale to deliver fast, so he can keep his business in gear and always moving forward. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I've been a Consumer Cellular customer for 8 years. When we switched over from Verizon to Consumer Cellular, it was a really painless process.
Just kept the same phone, I kept the same number. Anytime I call customer service, it's US based and it's way cheaper than where I was. I could hardly believe that my bill was so small. It's a great service for a great price.
Unlimited talk and text with flexible data plans starting at $20. Plus, for a limited time, new customers save $50 when you sign up today.
place that I live in is heavily forested. There's a lot of trees. What got me to be a customer was the reception and the coverage of Consumer Cellular. This has been great. I just get a bill at the end of the month. It's on auto pay, and it's super easy.
And as AARP members, we also get a nice discount.
That's right. AARP members receive a 5% discount. Make the switch now to the most awarded brand by J.D. Power. New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 800-566-4817 or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. Please, listen to your heart. Learn more about the American Heart Association at helpheart.org.
I want you all to know that the majority of the time, am always afraid and always scared.
Welcome back to our special coverage in the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone. I'm Michael Ayala. She's accused of killing her boyfriend, George Torres, back in February of 2020. His body was found inside of a zipped suitcase that she zipped. Boone took the stand in her own defense today as she tried to bolster her claims of battered spouse syndrome. Her testimony has ended for the day. They'll be back tomorrow. We do want to take a look back at some of her earlier testimony on direct about meeting Torres and how he ended up in that suitcase.
How did you and George get along when y'all first met?
Very well. It was strange how quickly we hit things off and had so much in common, and I never thought that he would be interested in someone like me, and I just couldn't believe that he was actually interested in me and said a lot of nice things, and 1 hour ended up being 4 hours from when we had first met, and then we would always have something to talk about.
Would it be fair to say that y'all saw each other on and off for about the next 3.5 years?
No, I would consider us a couple. At some point, he asked me to marry him.
Okay. But y'all did have times where he left and went to live with his parents.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
And there were times where there was an understanding that y'all were going to break up.
Multiple times.
Okay. All right. So, again, on again, off again.
Yes. This was actually before we had our apartment. That was, I guess, our dating phase.
Okay. So y'all were together for 3.5 years. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And y'all had actually agreed to marry?
He had asked me yes a couple of times to marry him, and one time I agreed to yes. At one point, I guess he knew that I couldn't come up with anything else, tapped me on my knee and said, "You're it." So from there, I ran up the stairs and hid into our shower, just waiting for him to find me so we could hopefully go to sleep soon at some point.
And did you believe that he was going to come try to find you?
Yes.
Did you wait?
Yes, for quite some time.
All right, then what did you decide to do?
That I decided that I need to go to sleep. I'm picking my son up the next day, and we need to start wrapping up the evening. And I went downstairs to find where he was.
So you walk down the stairs and you turn and look in the living room. What did you see?
I don't even think I made it all the way down the stairwell because I was just looking for him as soon as I could to hopefully go upstairs as soon as we could. And I looked over and I saw him settling himself in the suitcase.
So between the 2-minute video and the 22-second video is an 11-minute period. Would you tell the jury what happened?
We continued to, I guess, speak to one another, and his tone changed, and I knew the tone, and we ended up, I guess, arguing back and forth with one another, and It was the things that he was saying very much frightened me, and cursing at me and threatening me. And
Did he want you to let him out of the suitcase?
I'm sure so.
Okay, go ahead, tell me.
And it just got very heated very quickly, and he continued to push on the suitcase. And my fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase, knowing that it was a broken suitcase. And his hand started to come through. His hand started to come through this way. And so I shook the suitcase, trying to get his hand to go back in, shaking it, and telling him that, please stop doing this. Please stop doing this to me. Please stop doing this to me.
So his hand actually got out of the suitcase?
Yes.
And you went to the suitcase?
Yes.
And shook it?
Yes.
Did that force his hand to go back in?
No.
So you're shaking it. Were you shaking it to try to get the suitcase, his hand back in?
Yes.
How long did you shake it?
I don't know.
But his hand was still out?
Yes.
Was he trying to get out?
Forcefully, yes.
Was he angry at you?
Yes.
Were you in fear?
Always.
If he would have gotten out of the suitcase, what would he have done to you?
Like he used to tell me, he probably would have made me unrecognizable, or I would have lost my life.
All right, we'll have more from the suitcase murder trial coming up in just a bit. But before we go to break, we have this developing story for you. The former CEO of clothing retailer Abercrombie & Fitch is behind bars, accused of luring men into drug-laced, outlandish, and coercive sex parties he held around the world. Mike Jeffries is accused of dangling the promise of modeling for the retailer's ads. Also under arrest, Jeffries' romantic partner and then a third man as well. The trio is accused of using Jeffries' status and wealth to fulfill the couple's sexual desires in what investigators say amounted to an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. The three are charged with sex trafficking and interstate prostitution. We'll keep you updated on that story for sure. All right, coming up on Court TV, we'll listen to some big moments in Sarah Boone's testimony today. She details the abuse that she allegedly suffered at the hands of longtime boyfriend George Torres, including being stabbed. Keep it locked on your front row seat to justice.
Tonight in closing arguments, Sarah Boone takes the stand in her own defense. We'll show you everything you may have missed from her testimony as our experts weigh in.
Closing arguments with Vinny Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
What happened that night? Are you not prepared to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer, a Court TV original series. Sunday, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Your best defense against erosion and cavities is strong enamel. Nothing beats it. I recommend Pronamel Active Shield because it actively shields the enamel to defend against erosion and cavities. I think that this product is a game changer for my patients.
Try Pronamel mouthwash.
Gail, look at your little boo. What happened?
Other Saturdays.
Okay, you got to be careful, okay?
I know.
Okay, let's get you off your feet. We're going to get your Medicare prescriptions delivered.
Get help with your Medicare prescription right in your neighborhood.
People who have allergies will have lots of problems. If someone's exposed to allergens, they can get rid of those immediately by washing out the nose. Navage works by pulling saline in one nostril, through the nose and out the other nostril, sucking out allergens, mucus, dust, and germs. Experience on-the-spot relief so you could breathe easier, sleep better, feel healthier. If you have seasonal allergies, Navage can help.
Navage, brand new look, same great product.
That should hold it for now.
What should we do?
I know what to do.
You do?
I'm going to CashNetUSA.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
You're my hero.
Saving the day is easy with CashNet USA.
When you need money fast, be the hero. Go to CashNetUSA.com to apply for the money you need now.
Hi, my name is Damian Clark. And if you have both Medicare and Medicaid, I have some really encouraging news that you'll definitely want to hear. Depending on the plans available in your area, you may be eligible to get extra benefits with the Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. Most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items like vitamins, pain relievers, first aid supplies, and more. The Healthy Options Allowance is loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend carries over from each month. You can pay nothing for covered prescriptions all year long, even name brand drugs. All plans have $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, which include 2 free cleanings a year, as well as fillings. They may also have vision coverage, including vision exams, and a yearly allowance towards eyewear, such as lenses or contacts. Even hearing coverage, which includes routine hearing exams and coverage towards hearing aids. You'll even have a $0 copay for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. Plus, your doctor, hospital, and pharmacy may already be part of our large Humana networks. So call the number on your screen now to speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. Wouldn't you love benefits like a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items? So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call the number on your screen now and speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. If you're eligible, they can even help enroll you over the phone in a Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. And remember, annual enrollment ends on December 7th. So call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
All right, before we get you back to our continuing coverage in the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone, we have an update in another big case that Court TV is tracking, the burn pile murder trial of Melody Ferris. She's accused of shooting and killing her husband, Gary Ferris, who was a prominent Atlanta attorney. His remains were found in a burn pile on the couple's property in July of 2018. Today, the state played an audio recording of a police interview with Ferris, and in it, she told detectives her husband would often start burn piles despite her objections, and that one day he actually burned the house. She also talked about their search for Gary and then finding his remains in that burn pile.
Y'all just started a search, basically, of the property on
search,
and then when y'all actually went to the fire pit, everybody was walking. Y'all were still just kind of walking around? Or?
Yeah, Scott had the RTV. I mean, you know, we have been around, and then, I mean, we could walk down. Scott's got a trail cam that's like way down the hill down there. And I had asked him, I said, sir, check that and see if there's any, see if he would walk down the hill. And, of course, this property that joins us right here. I mean, you know, but yeah, there's a barbed wire fence up, but, I mean, you know, he said, no, there's nothing on the trail cam. Called the secretary to see if she knew, you know, was he going out of town anywhere? Was he, you know, anything? No, not that I know of.
So, when y'all went down to the burn pile, you noticed the remains, and
I just thought it was, yeah, and that's when that's when I said, Scott, did you throw a goat on here? And I said, or did we have one to die? Because it was not unusual for, if we've got a bunch of babies, and it wouldn't be unusual for, I mean, like I said, Tuesday night, Gary was gathering everything that was not nailed down, and there was a box that we had gotten a little jumper thing for Olivia, and he was like, I said, no, do not burn. Well, I noticed yesterday that the box was gone.
All right, we're going to continue to follow that trial, of course, and bring you all the latest developments throughout the day here at Court TV. Now back to more of our special coverage in the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone. She testified earlier today about what happened the night that her boyfriend George Torres died. She told the jury he got inside the suitcase himself, and they played around for a little bit until things changed, and she decided that she didn't want to let him out. Take a listen.
Was his hand still out of the suitcase?
Yes.
And was he getting out of the suitcase?
He very much trying, yes.
And so what did you do?
For the split-second reaction that I had, I happened to see that, and I grabbed the baseball bat and was trying to poke his hand to go back in to please don't break through, please. So I hit his hand.
Wait, did you hit the outside part of his hand?
Yes.
We've seen the photographs of his left hand. Did you cause the bruising there?
I'm guessing yes. That's when I went over and decided to videotape to just see the, I guess the gist in it for him to understand that right now I feel safe and right now I have the ability to actually speak to you in a manner that normally I would not have the ability to do.
And you were intoxicated,
Yes.
and you would agree that you said some things you should not have.
Yes.
Right. But you realized he could not get out and get at you. Is that fair?
At that moment, yes.
Now, Boone also testified about how Torres became violent, especially when drinking. She even told the jury that he stabbed her once with a knife.
If George was able to, he would drink from sunup to sundown.
Is there times when he would get to a state of intoxication where he would get violent against you?
Quite often. This was the first time that I ever called 911. George and I had gone to a bar across the street within walking distance, and at some point I asked a guy, or he asked me, somehow or another it was over a cigarette. And he left, and I didn't know where he went, and the bartender said, oh, he left. He took your car and he left. I walked home, and he's sitting on the back porch with the handle of vodka. He calls me a whore, and then he calls me a slut, and then he calls me a and gets up and pushes me. And he pushed me with both of his hands so hard that we have this little area where our washer and dryer is, and there are metal doors that are on it. And he pushed me into the metal door. And then I fell back, and he got his knees on top of me, on my arms here, so I was pinned down, and was starting to strangle me and hit my head up against the metal closet over and over and over and over and over it again, and calling me a whore, and you're such a slut, and you, and everything. And my tongue was flopping out of my mouth, and I thought I was going to bite my tongue off. And because of the amount of noise, I guess, my head was making on the metal door, he slid me down and got back on me, and then started to strangle me again. And it was on, we have carpet, but it's like concrete. And I was able to get my arms out from underneath and grab his throat and get him off of me. So I got him off of me, and I pushed him off, and he came up and he goes, you and he stomped my face.
Was that the next day, or is that a few days later?
That's a couple of days later.
And that's the bruising from the kicking of the eye?
Yes. He told me again that I'm not going anywhere, and he stabbed me in my leg, and it crunched. You could hear a noise that it made, and blood just started to come out of my leg, just like a fountain. He got on his knees and begged me, please don't call the police. Please don't call the police. Please don't call the police. And inevitably, he went and got my car keys and put them around his neck again, and my cell phone. So I was not able to call anyone, and I wasn't able to leave in my car.
How did you get to the hospital?
Originally, he told me to drive, and because of the amount of alcohol that he drank, and I couldn't. So he got into the driver's seat and drove me, and the entire time he's barking at me to make sure that I get the story straight. We're sword fighting, okay? We were drunk, you know.
Did you go
being
to the
silly.
emergency room?
Yes.
All right, and did you get treated there?
Yes.
And is this you at the hospital?
Yes.
Is this the stab wound you want?
Yes.
Is this a close-up of the stab wound?
Yes.
And what was that? Did you hurt your foot?
No, dude. due to the injury, I had other problems with the surgery.
All right, let's bring back in our guest. Still with us, trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, those pictures, her testimony, used to great effect. There's no question about it. But here's the problem that this jury, I think, will have to sort of struggle with. All of that she's talking about now, the idea that she was afraid for him, that's why she left him in there, and that he was going to come out and hurt her, she never mentions any of that to the police at any point. And so this jury is going to have to look at those interviews with the police and wonder why, when the perfect opportunity to talk about why you did what you did and the distress that you were under, you never mention it. Now here you are in court doing that. And again, you got the pictures to back it up, but why didn't you do it before? How will the jury handle that sort of dichotomy?
I think the jury is going to look at all the evidence presented and weigh it, and based on the facts and evidence make a determination. But this is a compelling story. I mean, look at the bruise on her eye and look at the stitches and everything like that. It is horrific. It's a horrible story to be in a relationship like this. But I think it's also important to remember that when people are going through abuse, that people handle it different ways. It's easy to say, well, what someone should have done or what someone should have acted or what someone should have left the situation, because a lot of people think, first thing comes to mind, if you're in such an abusive relationship, why don't you leave? Why don't you walk out that door and never look back? But I am sure that the defense is going to have an expert take the witness stand and help substantiate the fact that she was going through this abuse and how she handled it, and ultimately it affected her saying anything to the police about it.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what we can expect coming up the next couple of days, this battle of the experts, because we know that the state has an expert who's going to say something very different. Obviously, the defense is going to have their expert. So where do you land on this? I mean, of course, it was very, as I said, very effective testimony by her. But the question for the jury comes down to, were her actions depraved, reckless, or was she in fact acting in self-defense? Where do you land after listening to today's testimony? I know there's a lot more to go, but just after today's testimony.
Well, when I look at things, you always think of what exactly triggered someone to do something. What exactly at that moment did her do the actions that she did? And so when you think about it this way, usually you think of someone like hitting you, like the time where she was talking about her head being banged against the metal and stuff like that. At that time, at that moment is when you do it, rather than at a different time. And I think that that's something the jury has to think about. But the experts are going to come and say, most likely in her defense, that she was going through the battered syndrome, and ultimately she just couldn't take it anymore and acted accordingly. And therefore, that's going to be her defense.
Yeah, and that's why the battered wife syndrome is so important, because it shows the jury, or at least the expert will say, that the victims perceive things very differently. Because in this case, you're asking the jury to believe that this overt act, this threat, was a hand coming up by a 100-pound guy coming out of a suitcase, Kelly.
Yes, and that goes back to the reenactment of seeing that moment, of seeing exactly what happened and what was her state of mind. Now, according to the state, she had the intent. It was malice, and that's what she did. She had the specific intent to do this, to harm him, to hurt him, to kill him, to go upstairs and go to sleep and say, so bad to you, you deserve this. However, their position is no, that she's been abused, and she, at that point in time, she just couldn't take it anymore, and that's her defense.
Yeah, it is. Tomorrow, resumes this trial, and that battle of the experts begin. Kelly Hyman, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Michael Ayala, folks. It's always, as always, been a pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for being with me. Coming up next, it's closing arguments with you-know-who. Vinny Politan. Vinny takes a look at the biggest moments from Sarah Boone's testimony in the suitcase murder trial and the latest from court in the Delphi murders trial of Richard Allen. Keep it here on Court TV.